What is happening, good people? I'm coming at you al fresco for Macro Dirt Podcast number 56, the LT Podcast with Jared D's Nuts Dillian. What's up, brother?
Oh my God, I just spaced. Uh, what was it? Oh, what's up, micro penis?
I think you used that one already.
Did I
It could be
really?
me. I think you might have used it already, but we can use it again. It's fine. It's fine. I can run with that. I'm sitting outside today. It's a beautiful morning here, man. It's like sunny and cool. It feels like almost fall in the middle of July. We got to talk about LT though, right?
Yeah, dude. I was a big Giants fan in the '80s when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That Giants defense. I mean, the offense was Phil Simms would throw for 100 yards a game, and he would hand the ball to Joe Morris, who would get like 3.5 yards a carry,
Yeah.
and get a first down every single time.
Yeah.
Like Joe Morris, I don't know if you know this, but he weighed like 190 pounds and he could bench 450. Like
Yeah.
the guy was a tank. And the defense,
He was literally
Jim Burt, Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor, like the defense it's probably the best defense ever assembled in football, you know.
yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, defense wins championships, and Lawrence Taylor won 2 Super Bowl championships, right? 6'3", 240 pounds of Carolina Tar Heel badass. So he started playing football at 15 years old, his junior year in high school. How about that? That's an anomaly. That doesn't go on today at all, right? He
Yep.
played on one team his whole career. Also doesn't really go on much. NFL MVP in 1986 as a defensive player, which is super rare, but he had 6 tackles and 2 sacks and was a really big difference maker in the game. 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time first team All Pro, 10 Pro Bowls. He competed in WrestleMania 11. He broke Joe Theismann's leg in half.
Yes.
They retired 56 in Giant Stadium. They should retire it league wide, if you ask me. And in his book, Over the Edge, he admitted to having a King Kong-sized substance abuse problem since he was in college, using cocaine during games.
I mean,
Go figure.
that was pretty common in the '80s, you know, like especially in baseball. Like, did you hear the story? Tim Raines. Tim Raines always slid head first. Do you know
Yeah.
why?
No.
Because he had vials of cocaine in his back pocket.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Wow, you always have the dirt on everybody, man. Like if there's a seedy side of anybody, JD has got the receipts.
LT does have a seedy side too, as you know.
Oh yeah, man, he
Yeah.
really does. He admitted to drinking 41 Coors Lights on draft day when they called him up and drafted him. He was absolutely shithouse drunk. Really wild, but yeah, played football on a little bit of Peruvian marching powder, and it sure made a difference for him, man. Like he played like he was on, charged up like nobody else on the field, which is obviously true. So, what do we got going on in the markets here, JD? We just had like a steep pullback from the highs in stocks. Rates are knifing lower from 440 to 430. Nvidia just took a $7 haircut. The Bitcoin backed off from 119.5 to like 118. There was just a little bit of a de-risking program that flew through the markets. What's top of mind in the markets for you today?
What's top of mind is all this chatter about Trump getting rid of Powell. Like that's the big macro theme right now. There was some chatter about it over the weekend. We walked in on Monday. Bonds were higher. The dollar was lower, quite a bit lower. Gold was ripping yesterday. If you pull up a long-term chart of gold, we're getting down to the tag ends of that consolidation. It's just starting to peak out of the consolidation. Above 3,400, I like it. Above 3,500, I love it.
Yeah.
Silver trading 39 right up against 40. Like it's I mean, look, like if the president is threatening to fire the head of the Fed and lower interest rates to 0, how can you not be long gold? Like that's like this is what gold is for, you know. This is I'm just gonna beat people over the head with this, you know.
Yeah, and it's that kind of trade, It's that kind of trade because you have to have that attitude and forget it. at some level. You know what I mean? Because I'm still the guy that's looking for correlation, and the dollar index is down at 97.70 now, approaching the lows again, and gold's still $100 from the highs. So to me, that's a little bit disappointing. This may be the one though where it pulls away, and it's going to need help from silver, platinum, and palladium to help drag it. But they've come a long way, man. They've come a long way, and it's going to take incremental new money flow to get all of these metals higher. I don't know, man. I'm still, even though with the interest rate thing, I'm still disappointed in what gold is doing. This could be just another false start towards the top of the range if you draw this sort of sideways range from 3,200 to 3,500. So we'll see what happens. I'm with you. I could go either way. I'm long. I'd buy a dip, so I'm okay with whatever happens in gold, but it needs to shit or get off the pot.
Yep.
What do you think about Bitcoin? Bitcoin just looks great, huh?
It does. I mean, I think I gave you my long-term thesis a couple of weeks ago. I said it was probably going to go to. I said it was probably going to go to 150,
Yep.
150, 160 level, something like that. And there, I would be a seller. I would be a seller.
Yeah, we'll probably get all laser-eyed and giddy up there again,
Yep.
and people will throw their $1 million price targets out, like they're going to have a 10
mortgages
bagger
on their house to buy Bitcoin and all that stuff.
Yeah, all that shit's going to start all over again. Well, that's okay. That'll be a good trading opportunity for us too. I mean, we need to find the top of the range so that we can bump our head on that and then pull back to the bottom of the range now in Bitcoin, which for me is going to be like 95, 100K. You get it near there again, and it's a buy. But, Trump just passed a bunch of Bitcoin-friendly legislation, and I think that's quite honestly what's given it a little bit of its latest lift.
For sure.
Yeah. So one thing that's interesting to me is equity market sentiment is creeping up there, but it's still at a level that is totally palatable for bulls. So CNN is at greed 73, about to tick into extreme greed. And to me, that's the perfect condition for stocks to be able to rally. So even though we've got this little pullback here, I think it makes sense that stocks were punching new highs towards 6,400.
Hey, did you see Kohl's this morning? KSS?
No, let's check it out.
Pull up a chart of Kohl's. It's up 90% this morning.
Oh, my. Hold on. That was not Kohl's.
KSS.
Yep. I mean, it's kind of a dumpster store. Why is it up 90% this morning?
Dude, it was massive, huge short squeeze. Short squeeze.
Oh, man, I wish I would have known about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too.
I mean, it opened at 20. It's at 13 offered as we speak. I mean, and it looks like a buy down here, in fact. We're going to trade some stock while we're online here because sorry, I like trading things that are this volatile, and I just want to get involved here a little bit at $13. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe that'll be, kind of symptomatic of what we see in the next couple of weeks, especially in wacko names like that, where you have to have monster short covering going on. That stuff tends to kind of, propel sector by sector into a little bit of a rally mode. So I can get behind all that. I had a conversation with Sir Nick Sophocleus at Bernstein SG. And he's bullish as well. And his biggest fear is that we have another 1995 scenario, JD. I'm going to test your memory. Do you remember what went on in 1995?
Well, 97 was the Asian financial crisis.
Yep. And before that, everything was peachy as could be. I'll tell you what happened in 1995. I remember it vividly because I was sitting at 85 Broad Street managing the Bloomberg Commodities Index at Goldman Sachs. Bill Clinton was in the White House. Oil was 15 bid at 20. Silver was 5 bid at 6. Gold was 370 bid at 400. Don't wake me up at all. Milk was 250 a gallon. Coolio was at the top of the Billboard 100 with Gangster's Paradise, right? So this is what's going on.
Peace.
Yeah, that's right. The S&P in 95 went from 450 to 600. A cool 34% gain. The VIX was 10 bid at 15. The biggest dip that you got to buy all year was a 2.5% cupcake pullback that just barely grazed the 50-day and then went off and running again. Right? That is a near impossible market to trade. And I think that that's why his fear is, man, this feels like a similar thing where the coast is clear. We don't have the same kind of cupcake prices in commodities or things like that, but the coast is clear for an absolute vol melt and for the VIX to stay there. Now, with a guy like Trump in the White House, you would imagine that something is going to happen that's going to shake that up. But I assign like a 15, 20, maybe 25% chance that we do go into that type of a mode for the end of the year, just low vol creeping higher. What do you think about that?
I think we're kind of closer to the. I think that's a good description of what's been happening.
Mm,
I don't think it's a good description of what's going to happen in the future. So
okay.
if you look at sort of this like momentum factor, it's stuff is starting to break down a little bit. SoFi, I'm trying to think of some other names. Some of these go-go names are starting to break down a little bit. So I think that's kind of the canary in the coal mine. I'm not saying we're gonna like crash immediately, but I'd be surprised if we have more than a couple weeks left of this. So
Man, that's interesting. I look at the market leaders, I look at the Mag 7 stocks individually, and I'm like, man, they all look like they suffered a little trauma and can all get back on their horse and run again. If there's anything that scares me in the Mag 7, it's Facebook, which just put in a double top that is unmistakable at about 750. We have to remember to put that chart up there. Um, but that's one of the entire group to me that looks like it can back off, and everything else looks good. And then I do my analysis where on any given day we've got some combination of a tech sector, a cyclical sector, and an industrial at the top of the leaderboard, right? Whether it's metals and mining, whether it's gold miners, uranium miners, those we've seen those at the highs. Yesterday, big tech saw a big bounce, and software, social media were right behind it. So, man, when I see this much participation from various sectors kind of banging room away at the highs, it's hard for me to figure out how to get bearish. Like I won't get bearish until the S&P has a dramatic pullback below all the moving averages, and we're ways away from that. Like I've got the moving average band between 5,900 and 6,100. I don't even think we're going to see it. I really don't think we're going to see it. So I'm kind of in Nick's camp that the situation in equities is so good with the big dip in the rearview mirror. Let's not forget we had 1,000 points down and back in April. And to me, that just sets the stage and says, you had this big juicy dip to buy. We were under stress for an entire month. If you didn't pay attention and buy it there, you're not going to get another chance, because that's how markets work.
also, I think in 95, I think rates were coming down because the Fed raised rates a bunch in 94 and they broke the bond market, if you remember that. A bunch
Mm-hmm.
of shit blew up. And then I think they were lowering rates in 95. So you had that as like a
They were
tailwind. Yeah.
CPI was down at like 1.5%.
Yeah.
Like that was the low of the range in '95. There would like that there we had quelled the inflation beast, and we were lowering rates, so that probably had to do with it. But man, I remember that. If you remember the days of VIX 10 bid at 12 and a 20-point range in the S&P and two handles higher every day, that sucks for a real trader. It just sucks. So we've got to find the venues. Where's the most action, JD? If you wake up in the morning and you want to just like play around in something to make money, what are you doing?
I mean, I just don't do that. I don't play around. Like I'm just like super long term, buy and hold.
Yeah,
My portfolio turnover is probably like 20 or 30%. I hold stuff. I hold stuff for like 10 years.
man, that's unbelievable. I'm so short term that I literally adjust my 401k quarterly. And it's just something where I say I want a little more of that, a little less of this. I think this is going to do better than that, so I'll switch some into there. And then those are my longer term positions. I have another trading account with similar longer term positions, but then I have my kind of fire account, which I like to step into different arenas every day and feel them out. Like I just bought Coles just to feel it out at 13.50. I haven't traded Coles before in my life. But that is pattern recognition, right? We saw the shorts cover, it pulled all the way back to support now. So we'll give it a shot. But that's kind of something that I like to do. And I like to say, oh, it's breaking out this. And so I can look for one of these stocks to break out today or make a new high, or those are the probabilities that I play. anyway, I'm sure there are a lot of other people out there that do similar things. That's why I kind of asked. What else do we have to discuss in the markets, JD? It is just a painfully kind of sanguine summer day. We're at the end of July here. What should we talk about?
Uh, what else? What else? What else? Honestly, I think we covered most of the market stuff. I will say I'm a little bullish on bonds here, and I got bullish since we did the last podcast. The charts look pretty constructive here on rates, so a little bullish on bonds here. Not low conviction, but
Mm-hmm.
it's working out. So
I'd be fine with that. Yeah, yeah. 10-year yields have backed off from like 4.5 to just under 4.35. It looks like they can trade to the bottom of the range at 4.10, 4.20. I would be
yep,
fine with rates trading down there. That would be good for my equity position. And then from there, what I would expect is going to happen is that rates will mean revert back towards 4.30, the 4.30 middle where we are right now. That's all they've been doing all year. And when you get the pulse on that, and you know that rates being in a range is good for the equity market, that's something that you can just look at every day and lean on until it's gone, right? Lean on the idea that S&P loves range bound rates, and then when the range breaks in rates on either side, then you've got to be careful. If it breaks to the downside, you're probably not long enough, and if it breaks to the upside, you probably have to make a sale or two. But
yep.
that's how I'm kind of gauging the equity market. JD, is there anything to do in base metals? We talked about copper. We kind of, to me, they just can't catch on to this platinum palladium rally. Is there anything to think about in that space while XME industrial miners are setting all-time highs? Like, how are you looking at that right now?
I mean, copper's up quite a bit today. I was a little skeptical of that 50-point bounce after the tariffs.
Mm,
And I've been staring at the chart, like wondering if there's a place to short it, and I just give up. Like I don't think that's a good idea. So
yeah, I hear you. Like I'm kind of amazed that it's just been high grade moved higher. LME copper still below 10K. Like I can't even make heads or tails of what's going on right now. And I talked to somebody else that agreed with me that thought that if Trump is going to put tariffs on base metals, you would think that the London price would go higher than the US price because they're the one that they're adding the tariff to. So there's a couple of different ways of looking at it. And I just can't. It's tough for me to find a place to get into XME because I can't understand what's going on in base metals. So that's kind of a conversation going on in my head. In uranium, however, I do understand. I think what's going on, and it is going to be a more widespread used source of power. Do you have any axe to grind in uranium?
I started to get a little more constructive on it, but I haven't looked at any charts lately. So
Well, the chart's a beauty, man. That thing, the uranium miners were 25 bid at 35, and we scorched through the top of the range, traded up to 40 something, traded back down to 40 now, and that is as clear a generational breakout as I think that I can pick to talk about. You know what I mean? And it fits the fundamentals, and that's just one that I am salivating for a dip. And I've also got an egg timer on waiting for a dip in uranium. Like if I don't get my hands on this sector like in a couple of weeks, it's going to be okay, buy some at the market and manage the risk because it feels to me like something's dramatically changing in that sector.
you ever been looking at a stock and you're waiting for a dip, you're waiting for an entry point, and you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and nothing happens, and you're like, fuck it, just buy it,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. You're like, it may not give me the price I want, but it's the merchandise I want.
yep.
So you have to, that's what the market's all about, and then, I have done that before and gone into that like a meathead and just said, screw it. I'm just going to buy it at last sale. And then been pigheaded and said, you know what? I'm going to have to hold it now because I just paid up for it. And that is the exact wrong attitude when you go for a trade like that. If you're waiting for a dip, and then have to pay up to get it, for me, unfortunately, if there is no follow through on the upside, I'm puking that thing immediately. You know what I mean? Because I know that I'm in it at risky prices. That's one thing where the quote from Sir JJ is so relevant. There is no such thing as risky securities, only risky prices, right? So if you're conscious of that and you know you're getting into something at a risky price, you kind of treat it like a hot potato. And if it turns around and starts hurting you, you get rid of it. But a lot of times, though, reaching for that is worth it and you do see the follow through. That's usually just recognize something that's in a bull market that won't back off. So where do we go off topic, JD? Where are we going off topic for summer? I know where we can start. I saw F1 last night. Did you see that movie?
No, I heard it's good.
It's great. It's great. I gave it a B plus. It opens with an absolutely unbelievable scene to a Led Zeppelin song that, for me, paid the price of admission right off the bat, and it's really well done. They don't pay too much attention to the love story. They focus on the competition. The action scenes are tremendous. And it's in a genre that's kind of, maybe uncovered in Hollywood, for car racing. And I think it gave you a really, really good.
I think, not including Talladega Nights, I think the last big car racing movie was Days of Thunder.
Totally.
If you saw that with Tom Cruise.
Loved it, right? Did you like that?
Yeah. I only saw it once, but it was a long time ago, but I liked it, yeah.
Yeah, but those are the movies that are just like kind of brain candy. You know what I mean? Like, you dig in the car race, you're getting a lot. What I really enjoyed was getting a lot of inside scoop on what Formula One racing is all about. And really, all it is a measure of how hot your tires are getting. You know what I mean? Like, the whole race is them managing two guys on the same racing team and who's got hot tires and has to go change them and who's got fresh tires and can go take off now. So they did a cool job of unpacking that dynamic, and the movie ended brilliantly, which I really loved. I broke down and finally watched Maverick, the Top Gun sequel, and I hated it because I thought there were 3 movies in there. Like, the movie went along fine and got to a point that I was like, oh, this is great. And then it restarted another storyline, and it totally lost me. So that's why I liked F1. It stuck. It was concise, and it was really good. What else, man? What other any other summer blockbusters on your schedule, or what else you got going on, JD?
Yeah, I'm going to Vegas this week, DJing at the Palm Tree Beach Club again, opening for Zed.
Oh, cool. Palm Tree Beach Club, is that at MGM?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What do you think of that hotel?
The hotel's been around for like almost 25 years. They've actually kept it pretty up to date. It's not bad.
I would consider the MGM Grand in Vegas is a fiasco, but it's fun. It's like a large-scale place. It's got one of the biggest pools, one of the funnest lazy rivers in it that you can float around in, and I really like the place there. So that club must be pretty cool.
Yeah.
What is that a regular thing now, or or is it spotty and they hire you and you go out and play?
This is my second gig there. I don't think you can call it regular at number 2, but maybe at number 3 you can. So we'll see if I get another one.
All right, cool, man. That's awesome. Congratulations. Sounds like fun. What else do we have, JD? We're going to have to wrap this sucker up.
Just one last reminder on this.
Rule 62.
Rule 62. Yep.
Get in and buy the book. Absolutely work on your success and spirituality with JD.
Yep.
Well, that sounds like a decent place to end. I want to thank everybody that has joined, signed up for the Macro Dirt Dual Sub in the last several weeks. Since I would be hitting my horn here, but it's at TG Macro HQ. There we go. Since we mentioned it a couple weeks ago on the podcast, they have been flying off the shelves. And even though the summer months are slow, JD and I are doing our best to deliver the best, most accurate financial content that there is. And give it a try. We think you'll be as happy as everybody else that signed on. We haven't had anybody come back at us and say, you guys suck.
So that's kind of cool.
It has not happened. And I would be the first one to take that criticism very seriously and be introspective about it. But we haven't gotten it. So we're going to keep working hard, putting out the best content we can, trying as hard as we can to be right and make people money, because that's the name of the game.
Yep.
And I think that in the middle of the summer, we can sign off and get on to a beautiful summer week and go see a band from Vermont play in Queens. That's the end of today's podcast. Hasta la vagina, good people. Peace.